So today we're going to be talking about Disney's new movie, Wish, more specifically Matt Walsh's from the Daily Wire's point of view on the movie. Let's talk about it. So today we're going to be talking about Disney's new movie, Wish, more specifically Matt Walsh's point of view on it from the Daily Wire. I created this channel with the intent of bringing light into this world, to bringing a biblical Christian perspective onto things. And if you're liking the content, make sure you're liking and subscribing for more. Without any further ado, let's jump into it.
Just dropped a trailer for a new film. And this is funny to me because they hope that it'll be their next big hit, which would be their first big hit in a while. Disney's trying to get back on track. Like Disney is way off track right now. They've had a lot of flops. And obviously this a legendary movie studio has put out some of the classic films of all time. But recently it's been nothing but terrible movies and big flops and everything. So they got this big movie. It's getting a lot of hype already.
I agree with him on this. I believe that Disney's been flopping just recently based on all the horrible decisions they made, mainly in going against parents, going against what the people that actually support them and like them believe in. And I'm not saying that they should push any type of agenda. I'm saying they should have done their best as a company to stay neutral, but they decided to take on a fight against the parents and into this, I guess you can call a new world that we're going in, this indoctrination and manipulation. But I think that was a bad part. That was their bad decision, and it's just been tanking for all the companies that have been doing this. And I think that they brought back Bob Iger just specifically for that reason. They brought him back to kind of bring them back to what they used to be. And he's actually talked about this, how I think he mentioned that She-Hulk, I think they're not going to do it because it was too woke and people didn't like it. So the whole woke agenda is not working for them. Their whole woke agenda has been tanking. Everything that they pushed out that has been very woke, it hasn't worked. So, but let's see what else he has to say.
Because it's like tailor-made to be. It's like everything, all the algorithms, it's all engineered for that to be a big blockbuster hit. And the movie is called Wish. And one of the things that the studio is excited about, and the people behind the film, they talked about in interviews, is that this movie will see the return of the classic Disney villain. So this is not what we see recently in Disney movies. This is not a tragic villain or an unintentional villain like in whatever Frozen or something. This is like a classic Disney villain, just an evil person who's evil for the sake of it, like in the old days. Straightforward bad guy who is voiced by Chris Pine. Because, of course, you already know that if Disney is putting an actual villain in a movie, it has to be a white guy. It's the most predictable result ever is when you hear that.
All right, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about the movie, so. But in any case, I do agree with him to some extent. I do believe that they intentionally made the guy to be lighter skinned. It's based on the Mediterranean. People tend to be very different in skin tones, but they tend to be a lot more like my skin tone. And the whole depiction, though, he's made to be the system, and he's the powers that be, the powers that are in control, and people. And the whole stick to the end, and you're gonna see this. But their message in this movie it was very interesting. I don't think Disney has made a movie before with this type of messaging so clear, and I do think, of course, it was intentional how clear the message was, but I don't quite get why, but the whole message of the movie is that the people need to unite. It's about division, and it's how the people have to unite in fighting the system, fighting the powers that be. And that's a very, very powerful message. It's a very strong message that unity beats everything else, beats the system and all these things. And it was a very interesting thing that Disney did, putting that type of message in that movie to me. But
Disney's got a real classic villain in there. Oh, it's a white guy. Of course it is. And you already know also that the hero, of course, is a non-white girl. All that you already know. But what's great about this trailer is that you can tell immediately that this movie is going to be garbage. That's Disney desperately.
I'll say this. I honestly think that there's agendas on both sides, and the way he talks about this, it's like you can never win, because when Disney did the, and I don't agree with Disney. I don't like I don't let my daughter watch a lot of their newer stuff. I always vet what she watches. I will say this though. There is a very big agenda on both sides. People keep pushing, and this is the division that the system that they talk about in the movie, and the division that people don't see. It's like they're always pitting people against people, and what they tell you is like, oh, they'll tell you like, when Disney made the movie The Little Mermaid, remade it with the black girl, it was a big problem. Oh, why don't they just create a new one and go with that idea? Why do they have to take the white girl out and put it? Okay, and now they're making their own thing with this girl that's different skin tone. They're going in a different direction, making their own thing, and then people are still complaining. You can never please everyone. That's a given. You can't please everyone. Jesus couldn't please everyone, but the whole message here, it's like this movie has a different message than all these other Disney movie messages. It's not about the princesses and all that. It's about like it has a deep message. It has a deep message about like how people need to unite and fight the system. How people need to unite and and fight for what they want. And this is what the movie is about. So the king, basically what it does is it takes wishes, and he has people come up to them and give him their wishes, and he chooses which wishes he's going to grant. But he doesn't really grant all the wishes. He just chooses supposedly based on what's better for the whole village. I honestly think it's just based on what's better for him, but he says it's for the whole village, and he doesn't give back the power. So when the girl finds out, she decides that everyone should get their not the power but the wishes. They should get their wishes back, because it's when they give out the wishes, they give out their essence. And they don't remember what the wish was, and they no longer have an essence or a power to, or the willpower to fight for, to conquer a wish, to do something for themselves. And they just go through life like bummed out and like without any essence, and just like very slow, and like, oh, but if he wants, he'll grant the wish. But that's basically what the movie tells. And what she does is like, all right, you got to give them back their wishes if you're not going to grant them, and let them pursue it on their own. So this is one thing that I think that they get wrong here. And again, they haven't seen the movie as far as I know, at least when they made this video. But the movie is not specifically about the way he made it seem.
Really trying to get back on track. You could tell just from the trailer that this is a miss. And you could say that I'm not the target demo for this trailer, so obviously I think that, but actually I am.
The parents are always the target demo, because like I said, you should definitely be investing in what your kid is watching, consuming, and taking. You should always be vetting and make sure what they're intaking is appropriate for them to consume. And the other thing is, we need to start thinking for ourselves and stop letting people think for us. Basically, like coming here and listening to what he has to say, and then realizing that, oh, he said that, the movie, oh, it's not gonna be a good movie, so I won't even see it either. I won't do this just because he told me not to. No, we need to start learning how to think for ourselves and take back control of the things that we can control. Control, like I said, control what your kids intake. Make sure you vet it. Make sure you think it's good. I was reading the comments, and in the comments, it was interesting, because a lot of people are like calling the movie theater, making sure that the movie was appropriate for their kids, and if it had any agenda or motive. And you should always assume that these movies, even if you can't see it, there's always subliminal messages in these movies. There's always an agenda behind it. There's always an agenda behind it. You should always keep that in mind. They always have an intent. When you watch something on TV, everything that you watch, there is an agenda and an intent behind it. They do it for a specific reason. Don't ever let that fool you. Oh, it's just an innocent movie that it doesn't mean anything. It always means something. There's always a subliminal message. There's always something that sticks to you, even though you don't want to accept it. It sticks in the back of your mind. They call it the unconscious mind. They say that there's 3 types of conscious. There's the conscious, unconscious, and the subconscious, subconscious, and unconscious. So the unconscious mind is what these things leech onto and just sticks to you, and there is this there's specific psychology that they go through, and they decide how they're gonna do these things and what they're gonna put in these things and how it's gonna affect you and affect your kids. There always is, and if you don't think there is, you're just naive.
I have 6 kids. I have 2 daughters. I'm the one who has to pay for the movie ticket. I'm the target demo. And I won't be paying for tickets for this. But let's watch a little bit of this trailer. Here it is.
Where your heart's desire can become a reality.
I will say this: the animation was definitely not up to Disney standards. The animation was definitely a little on the crappy side. I will say it wasn't as bad as this trailer. It definitely got better, and some parts were actually good, but a lot of the parts were just the animation wasn't all that good.
What if I told you that place is within reach? All you have to do is give your wish to me.
So the plot of the film is that we didn't even see it in that clip, but the prince is or the evil bad guy is this white guy, and he's a king, and he has the ability to grant wishes, and all the wishes in the kingdom are sent to him, and then he decides who gets to grant the wishes, and but he's not going to grant everyone's wish. And then the heroic brown girl finds out that he is able to grant all these wishes, but he chooses not to. He only wants to grant the wishes that are that he thinks are going to be best for the kingdom and the common good. And she's very upset about that. And so then she goes out to make sure that she can grant all the wishes. So,
All right, this is where we disagree. She doesn't want to grant everyone's wishes. She just wants everyone to get their wishes back, because once she figures out, she tries to get a job with the king, and she figures it out that the king does not intend to grant everyone's wishes. He picks and chooses which ones are supposedly best for the greater good, which is what I was saying. So the movie is based on the king represents the system, and the people, they rely on the system to fulfill their dreams. And every time you rely on someone or on something to fulfill your dreams, that it's not God, you're always going to be disappointed. The Bible tells us, and I pulled up some Bible verses here that we could look into. In Jeremiah 17:5, it says that this is what the Lord said: "Cursed is the one who trusts in the man, who draws strength from mere flesh, and whose heart turns away from the Lord." And in John 14:16, Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. There is no other way but Him." So I'll say this: the whole basis of the movie is that they give away their essence and their energy and their wish to the king, so the king can fulfill their dreams, thinking that the king is going to have their best intention at heart and is going to fulfill their dreams and their wishes. And he tells the girl, he's like, "No, I just fulfilled the ones that I think are not harmful for the kingdom." And she was like, "What do you do with the rest?" She's like, "I just keep him here." She was like, "You should give him back." She said, "No, I won't give him back." And then she was like, I decide what to do, and I will not be giving him back to the people. And he draws power from them. So the people walk around moping, sad, depressed, I guess, without any essence, because they were relying on the system to fulfill their dream for them, and it doesn't work. And this is where I say we should never rely on anyone except for God to fulfill our dreams. God is the only one that can fulfill your dreams. And you can rely on yourself. Everyone else, I was reading this book, and it's called How to Make Friends and Influence People. And he says that people's number one interest is themselves. So there's there so if they're the number they're the Jesus, if their number one interest is themselves, they're always going to be interested in themselves first. So with that in mind, is they're going to do what's best for them. And then maybe later on, you can have a little bit whatever it's left. But every time you rely on someone to fulfill your dreams, to complete your dreams, you're always going to be disappointed.
this is what it's great. Disney doing everything they can to get back on track to really have a major hit, and all they have to do is just make a classic and like an actual classic Disney film. You already have the roadmap right in front of you. It's there. Just go back and look at what you did 30 years ago and do that. But they can't do it. They just can't do it. They're incapable. Grand Canyon University is an affordable private Christian university that it's local.
I'll say that they do have the formula to going back to doing staying, I guess, somewhat neutral, you can say. You can look at some other movies, like you can look at Belle, and Belle was very progressive for her time. She didn't agree. She didn't want to be just a wife and live in a small town. And she thought Gaston was this brute that he was very mean and he wanted things done a certain way. And I think the whole depiction of it is, you can look at her however you want to look at it, but it's based on, she was progressive and more of a feminist, and Gaston was this brute that was against women's rights, and this is looking far too into it, but you can go back and look into it for yourself. And I honestly think that all their movies always had an agenda. All their movies always had a point that they wanted to push out. But like I said, you can go back and watch and vet whatever your kids are watching. Decide for yourself if you think it's good or bad. But make the decision for yourself. Don't let other people do it for you.
Perspective into a grand, calming animation style. I mean, the animation in all these movies, not just Disney, but in all these kids' movies now, it just looks cheap. Doesn't look artistic. It's not interesting. It's kind of lifeless and bland and all the rest of it. But leaving that aside, in an effort to put out a blockbuster crowd pleaser, they've made a film where the villain is an evil white man who refuses to grant everyone's wishes and needs to be vanquished by the heroic brown girl who will create a utopia by letting everyone get exactly what they want, which is really it's like a parody of a modern Disney film. And the funny thing is that the movies are getting so woke that they now undercut their own messaging, because in this case, the guy who's supposed to be the villain is like clearly the good guy. And yes, Disney has always had a...
See, this is where I have a problem too, because so in the movie, like he didn't watch the movie. He didn't watch the movie, but basically on the movie, he is the system. He's like the people in control. And if you honestly think that the government always has your best, or that the people in control always have your best, your number one, your the best intent for you, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're naive. If you honestly think that you can completely just trust them blindly and they're going to have your best interest at heart, you need a wake-up call, because they don't. But I'll say one thing about the movie. One thing that I thought it was really interesting. It's like once she understands and she sees the truth, it sets her free, right? But she also doesn't know what to do with the story, because it gets to a point where she can go against everyone and try to do what's right, because everyone at this point, it's like she's trying to tell people, and people disagree with her because they're like, no, he's good and he's going to do what's right for us, because he knows what's best for us. He knows what's best for the community and society, and we should let them, we should believe them, and we should just let them do what they're going to do, because it's what's best for us. It's what's safe, and it's for our own good. And isn't that what we're always told? It's for our own good. It's better that way. It's for your safety. That's exactly how they do it. And this is why I thought the point of the movie was very interesting. The story was a very interesting story, because it goes on to say that in the end, once everyone unites, they're able to break free from the bondage and break free from the system, and they actually overthrow the system, because they get together and they unite and they fight together. And that's why the power, the message of that movie was so powerful. And that's why I was so surprised that Disney ended up making a movie like this, telling people that they have to unite. Because on everything there is, they always try to divide people. It's politics, it's sports, in everything there's always a division. It's always a way to divide you. It's like, It's our race, it's our color, it's our gender, everything, right? Everything is always made to divide us. And I honestly believe it's a biblical thing. I think there's a saying that says that the devil doesn't create, he just imitates. He just imitates God, right? And what he does is, in the Bible, there's a story about the Tower of Babel, that men get together and they build this tower and they almost reach God, and God takes them down, and he says he wouldn't allow people or men to get to him, right? And what he says is, he says that he divides men into nations and languages to confuse the people so they would never try again. So with that said, what the devil did is he took that and he saw that that made men weaker when he divided them. And in today's age, everything that's done is done with the intent of dividing us, to keep us fighting. Because when we're fighting, when we're a house, the Bible says that um, a house that, sorry, it says that a house that fights itself cannot withstand, right? A kingdom that fights itself cannot withstand. And when that happens, when we're fighting ourselves, we're at our weakest, at our most vulnerable, because no one is united, no one is getting together to do these things. And that's what people don't understand. But that's my 2 cents on the movie. If you guys liked it, make sure you like and follow for more. We'll see you on the next one.